Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging deep, literally, into the sands of Egypt. A recent discovery there didn't just turn up some treasure, it unearthed secrets that are actually rewriting what we thought we knew about the entire ancient world. Okay, I want you to picture this. You're deep underground, 15 meters below the desert, and you come face to face with this single sealed stone box. And get this, it weighs 40 tons. 40 tons! And it hasn't seen the light of day for 3,000 years.
So you gotta wonder, right? How in the world did they get it down there? And maybe more importantly, what's inside? Well, an Egyptian-led team of archaeologists had to answer those exact questions, and it kicked off this incredible chain of discoveries. We're talking everything from mind-blowing engineering to a secret royal love affair. All right, let's get into it.
So our story starts in a place called Saqqara. Now, this isn't just any old burial ground. This was the great necropolis, the city of the dead for the ancient capital of Memphis. You can just imagine, for thousands and thousands of years, these sands have just been collecting secrets.
And right here, a mission led by the legendary Egyptologist Zahi Hawass, well, they did something truly astonishing. Near the pyramid of Pharaoh Teti, they found not one, not 10, but a staggering 52 burial shafts. And they were just packed with coffins and mummies.
But you know what? The single biggest find, the one that got everyone talking, it wasn't some room overflowing with gold. No, it was that one massive sarcophagus. It was totally different from anything else they'd found, and it immediately became this huge, fascinating mystery.
So the team gets to work. It's this methodical, careful process, starting with the pretty dangerous descent deep into the earth. But when they finally got to the bottom, that initial excitement, it just turned to dread. That massive 12-ton lid, it wasn't sealed tight. It was just slightly ajar. And that could only mean one thing. Grave robbers had been there first, centuries ago. Now, even though they knew someone had been there, they still had a sliver of hope. They spent hours painstakingly cranking that lid open, just hoping something was left inside. But when they finally got it open and peered in, just bitter disappointment. It was empty. The lead Egyptologist, Zahi Hawass, he said that thieves had been absolutely brutal. They'd literally torn the mummy to pieces looking for valuables. I mean, for the team, that hope of a perfect, untouched discovery was just gone. But right then and there, the mission completely changed. It wasn't a treasure hunt anymore. It was a crime scene investigation. And this is where it gets really amazing. From just a handful of scattered bone fragments, they were able to piece together a whole forensic file. This guy wasn't a laborer. His bones showed he was a young, wealthy nobleman, and so tragically, they even figured out how he died. A simple leg fracture that got infected and turned fatal. So, okay, they figured out who was inside, but that just opened up an even bigger question. I mean, think about it. How on earth did the ancient Egyptians manage to get a 40-ton box down a super narrow 15-meter shaft with the technology they had 3,000 years ago? Seems impossible. Well, the solution that archaeologists have come up with, it's just brilliantly simple. They think the Egyptians basically engineered a massive natural elevator. They'd dig two shafts right next to each other, connected at the bottom. Then they'd fill one with sand, put the sarcophagus on top, and then workers would just slowly scoop sand out of the other shaft. The sarcophagus would just gently lower into its final resting place. Genius, right?
Okay, so the 40-ton coffin mystery was huge, but that wasn't the only puzzle they found. Not by a long shot. Nearby, the team stumbled onto something else, something that would completely rewrite the personal history of a pharaoh and uncover a royal love story that had been lost for millennia.
So, there was this small pyramid found back in 2008. For years, everybody just assumed it belonged to Pharaoh Teti's mother. Made sense, right? Well, a specialist decided to re-examine the bones found inside, and she made a jaw-dropping discovery. The remains belonged to a woman who was only about 18 to 25 years old. No way could she be the pharaoh's mother. Not a chance.
So, if she wasn't his mother, who was she? The key, the crucial clue, came from a small, fallen obelisk they found right next to the pyramid. And carved into its side were hieroglyphs that, once they were finally deciphered, would tell this unbelievable forgotten story.
The inscriptions revealed her name, Queen Neat. But here's the twist. She wasn't born into a royal family. The text actually suggests she might have been a servant, maybe even a dancer. The pharaoh, Tetsti, fell in love with a commoner. He married her, and then he made her a queen by giving her the divine title, Daughter of Geb, the god of the earth. I mean, it's a real-life love story, lost for thousands of years, and now we know about it.
So you have the giant sarcophagus, the secret queen's pyramid, all those other tombs. You have to remember all of this, every single bit of it, served one single incredibly powerful purpose, making sure the soul had a safe and successful journey into the eternal afterlife. See, for the Egyptians, the physical body had to be protected at all costs. It was the vessel for the soul. So if you were wealthy, you'd have multiple coffins, one nested inside the other, kind of like those Russian matryoshka dolls. And each layer was just covered in magical spells and pictures of guardian gods. It was all about creating layers and layers of magical protection for the soul's really dangerous journey.
But all that preparation, all those layers of protection, it all came down to one single terrifying moment, the final judgment. This is where the soul's heart, which they believed was basically a record of everything you did in your life, was weighed on a scale against the feather of truth. If your heart was heavy with sin, a monster would devour it. Game over. Your existence just ended. But if it was light and pure, the gates to eternal paradise would swing wide open.
So, the excavation took 6 months. The team is wrapping things up, they're starting to pack up their gear, and just when they thought it was all over, the desert decided it had one last, really touching secret to share.
Some of the workers found this beautiful terracotta coffin, but what was weird was that it wasn't down in one of the deep burial shafts. It was buried just a few feet from Queen Neat's temple in a really shallow grave, almost like it was done in a hurry.
And the team's theory about this, it's just incredibly moving. They believe this woman who lived around the same time, she specifically chose that spot. Why? So she could continue to guard and serve her beloved Queen Neat, even in the afterlife. But there was a problem. The terracotta was so fragile, moving the coffin was just impossible. It would have crumbled. So in this final act of just profound respect, a respect that crosses thousands of years, the team made a very unusual call. They carefully buried her again, right where they found her, leaving her to continue her eternal watch, completely undisturbed.
You know, this whole Saqqara mission is just such a powerful reminder that the sands of Egypt still hold so many stories like these. Stories of love, of tragedy, and of unbelievable ingenuity. It really makes you realize that history isn't just some dusty old subject in a textbook. It's a living, breathing investigation. And it makes you wonder, for every story we uncover, how many more are still waiting out there, just beneath the sand?